What's up guys, Douglas from Bike School here, and today I just wanted to go over 7 different tricks you can do at the skate park, even if you're a beginner. So you've probably been to the skate park a few times, you've learned how to drop in, but now you're wondering what are some of these beginner level tricks that I can work on and start to build some skills at the skate park. So let's get right into it. Teach you everything that you need to know.
Take you to the next level.
We're going to talk about 4 tech tricks that you'll need a small quarter to do these on. 1 trick you can do literally anywhere, and then 2 tricks that you can do fly out. So make sure that you can drop in and you can fly out of a quarter before you even start working on these tricks. So the first trick, this is one of my favorites, it's going to be the tire tap. Now the tire tap works, you just pop out of the quarter, you land on your back tire, use some pedal pressure or brakes if you have brakes, and then lean back into it. One thing that a lot of people struggle with when learning this trick is they don't alley-oop into it. When you alley-oop into the tire tap, you're causing your back tire to have pressure immediately with your pedals, and it's locking you into the tire tap, and it's also helping you pivot so that your front wheel's hanging over the quarter so that you can drop back in. This one does take a little bit of practice, but while you're working on this, just make sure that you're alley-ooping a little bit, and it's going to help you out a ton. Now the second one is another quarter trick to do, and this is a disaster. When you disaster, you're coming out of the quarter, you're doing a 180, your front tire is landing in the transition, your back tire is landing up on the deck, and then you're popping back in. This one's cool to turn around on quarters if you're not good at airs yet. You can do a disaster at a lot of different places. But one thing that people really struggle with on the disaster is their back tire clips the coping. So you do need to know some fundamentals of a 180 to do the disaster, but the biggest thing you can do to avoid that back tire clipping is make sure that you're sucking your knees up. When you initiate into the disaster, you want to suck your knees up, and that's going to allow your back tire to clear over the coping so that you can finish out that rotation. So while you're learning a disaster, ask yourself, am I sucking my knees up? And if you're not, you better start doing it, and that way you can start landing this trick. Now another one is the rock and roll. This is like the disaster, but it doesn't require the spin. It's actually just putting your front tire up on the deck and leaving your back tire in the transition. You can do a couple different variations here. You can do a rock and roll to fakie, you could do just a rock and roll and then 180 back into the quarter. Both are very fun. The fakie's a little bit easier, and it's a good way to practice fakies, which is a little bit later on the list. A big thing that people have with the rock and roll is they don't compress their knees when they're getting into it. So when your front tire rolls over the coping and gets up on the deck, you need to compress your knees so that you can uncompress and send your weight backwards. Without compressing your knees, your weight is still trying to go forward, and then you get caught in this weird balancing situation. So just make sure when your front tire gets over the deck, you're compressing your body and you're getting ready to uncompress it and send your weight going backwards if you go into the fakie. If you're not going into the fakie, you're still compressing your body and you're uncompressing it and turning your body and your head the way that you want to spin. And this is what pops you back out of the rock and roll back into the transition. All right, and now fakie. I just talked about fakie, and this is another one you need a small quarter for or a bank, but you're just gonna roll up it and roll backwards. You can practice this trick almost anywhere, but it is really easy if you have a bank or a quarter to get you that speed going backwards. If you're not going backwards with very much speed, you're relying on a lot of balance, and it takes years to have really good balance on that bike. So getting something a little steeper like a quarter or like a bank is going to send you backwards with more speed, requiring less balance, so you're going to have a much easier time learning this trick. Now foot jams are one you probably won't learn on a quarter first. They're easier on flat ground. Just to get the balance, you can foot jam into a fakie, you can foot jam hop around, you can foot jam on a bank and turn around, you can foot jam on a roller, you can foot jam almost anywhere, and I do a lot. One time I was riding a contest and I was very uncomfortable with the park, and so literally I probably did 25 foot jams. I didn't do very good, but I did a lot of foot jams. And foot jams are really fun for me, and you're gonna have fun with them too. And one thing that's cool about all of these tricks I'm talking about is all of them can link together. You can do a rock and roll to foot jam, you can do a disaster to foot jam, you can do a rock and roll to disaster, you can do a rock and roll to tire tap. All of these link together, but taking the time during your session to learn them individually and working on them as individuals will help you later link them all together. So pick one that you want to work on, focus on it, try another one the next day, and then just find the ones that are really fun for you and learn them as quick as you can. Now the 2 fly out tricks are going to be, I mean, you can't really link them together with the other 4, but the tire grab is one that you can start to work on, and it's a really cool foundation because ultimately getting comfortable taking your hand off and touching that tire is going to help you later on when you're going to take both hands off for a no-hander, or you're going to take your hands off to throw the bars and do a bar spin, a toboggan, whatever. So this is a really good basic trick that you can learn early on and then work your way up to all of these other tricks. You don't want to jump ahead to bar spin without learning tire grab and being comfortable taking your hand off, because it's just going to be a really uncomfortable thing. So make sure you work on some of these basic ones first. With the tire grab, a big problem that people have is they're not able to actually reach and grab the whole tire. And this is because they're not pulling their bike in with their other arm. You're going to want to take your hand off, reach for the tire, but then pull with your arm that's still holding the grips, pull it in as close to you as possible to get that front wheel a little bit closer. That way you can grab onto it. Like I said, when you're working your way up to it, just a tire touch is fine. The biggest point here is to get your hands off of the grips and try and touch that tire. And the second fly out trick is a toboggan. This is like one of the things that the tire grab works into, but you can still start small and work your way up to a really extended, really stylish, really clean looking toboggan. A lot of people are just gonna fly out and they're gonna take their hand and touch their seat. And it's that simple. You get comfortable taking your hand off, touching your seat, and then turn your bars in a little bit with that other hand. And eventually you're gonna be making a shear motion where you're pushing them out as far as you can and getting a really nice looking, stylish toboggan. Now, the most important thing here is to have fun. So try all these tricks, see which ones you really enjoy and which ones you want to focus your time on. We have in-depth videos of all of these on Bike School, so if you want the personal feedback from us and we can tell you what you're doing wrong, or you just want to watch a really solid how-to video, consider joining Bike School so that we can help you with all of these tricks. And yeah, that's it guys. Go out, ride your bike, have a lot of fun. Peace.